So perspective is an amazing thing because we essentially live in the world of our own making. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about the created world. That's something God made. But our interpretation of events and the things around us essentially is our world. So, one of the interpretations that varies dramatically, I think, from person to person is whether the world is perceived as whether life is perceived to be difficult or is perceived to be easy. Now, what's really interesting about this is that there's probably a couple ditches here. But I do think that it's possible that if you have an expectation for life to be easy, like if that expectation is finely tuned, that it could result in a life that actually is easier. So what do I mean by that? So I think there's sort of two sides of it. One is if I expect life to be easy in the sense that I don't expect to ever experience hardship or difficulty, I'm bound to get a rude awakening. So I'm not really talking about expecting life to be easy from that standpoint. What I am expecting life, what I do mean by the good kind of expecting life to be easy is that I do expect that there are solutions for the problems in my life or the difficulties, the challenges. That I do expect God to show up for me when I need Him. That I do not take thought for the morrow and instead focus on the kingdom first and His righteousness. So I think that there is so Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I'm meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I hope I quoted that correctly. So there's several elements here, right? One is we're taking on this yoke and this burden, if you will. Secondly, it's easy and light, and it's like, so if you're living life in a way where you experience a lot of weariness or heaviness, what I take from that is that Jesus says, hey, come to me because I've got an alternative way to live. Because when you shoulder up, as it were, next to me, when you get in the harness essentially with Jesus, it is not a heavy burden or yoke, and or it's not heavy or hard. And so the fact that He says, come to me, those who are weary and heavy laden, I take that to mean that Jesus is offering an alternative, which means we have the opportunity to live life in a state that is not weary, not tired. We have the opportunity to live life in a way that we are not living with heaviness. And so that is pretty fantastic. Now, Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So there again, we have one of those sort of dual elements. It's like, yeah, there's going to be problems, but actually, I have solved the problems. Or that's a very kind of the message version of it. So I think I don't subscribe to the idea that we should make living a fun, easy life the core of our Christian walk. But I do think it is fair to say that if we are experiencing a lot of heaviness and weariness, that there's more that we could take advantage of in the Christian life, in our relationship with Jesus, than we currently are. Now, our family has been through some things over the last year. So when I say you don't need to be weary and heavy laden, I say that sincerely, but I also say it with empathy, because it's not always easy to get to find the path to the light burden and the easy yoke. And I do believe it is there for all of us. I do believe it's an option for all of us, that we can take advantage of it. But it's not always easy, and I think sometimes it does take us a minute to really get in the harness with Jesus and to experience life in that way. So, what about you? Is your life easy? Is the load that you carry, is it a light load? And do you feel Jesus beside you pulling that thing? Because it can be a good life.